Pew 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 pew. I love idler games. Yo guys, what's good, what's happening, and what's going on? Welcome to a Saturday. I had to go out today because I've been lazy all week and haven't been touching the end of my driveway. And you see how there's a lot of snow on the sides, but not so much on the roads. Well, the plow came by today and decided to heavy blade the road to push all the shit that was on the road into people's driveways. It was too big and chunky for me to take the snowblower to. I didn't want to risk ripping a shear pin. So I just said screw it and grabbed my metal snow shovel, which has a bladed edge, which is really great for dealing with the end of the driveway when you neglect it for a week like I did, and you end up making a hump like I did, and you got to shave that hump down like I did, and then get rid of the snow like I did. So now the end of my driveway isn't a sedan trap, if you will. Unlike a couple of years ago where I didn't do it because I didn't care. I drive a truck. I can pretty much climb over anything. Well, mostly. So I just really didn't care and just let what happened happen. And there was a nice hump at the end of the driveway and I managed to trap a couple Uber drivers in there. That was kind of funny. Trying to use my driveway to turn around. If you're wondering what I'm doing, I'm throwing some meat in the air fryer here. Some old pork chops. Some old porky chapos, because I am a little hungry. During the weekend, I don't fast, just during the weekdays. Not sure if I mentioned it on a previous video, but Coach and I are actually in a friendly competition. There's no money on it. There's no betting. There's nothing. We just want to see by Warrior Weekend who can lose the most weight, me or him. And even though I just have a goal that I want to hit 210 pounds, more if possible, but 210 I'll be happy, then cool. So Thursday night I walk into the studio and he comes in and he looks at me and he gives me this it's like 1 second. He runs in the house, grabs his weigh scale. Now I don't like weighing myself on any other scale but my own because like I said, I have it set up and where it sits all the time, so there's never any sort of discrepancy. Because honestly guys, if you have a weigh scale, you can take it, put it on hardwood floor, step on it, it'll give you one result, then move it to a carpet, step on it, it'll give you a completely different result. If you keep it in the same place, you can get a better telemetry to see if what you're doing is working and not. So he goes and gets it, brings it in the studio, and then sits it on the padded area. I said, no. I said, move it up to the hardwood at least. He moves it up to the hardwood. He's like, step on that. So I stepped on it and I was shocked. It said 238.9. I'm like, whoa, your scale's more forgiving. And then he steps on it and he's like, he was hitting the same, he's been at the same weight this whole time. And he's like, what are you doing? What exactly are you doing to lose this weight so fast? He's like, I visibly saw it on you because your belly's not sticking out as far as it was a week ago. He's like, what exactly are you doing? And I told him, I said, well, when I do eat, I only eat fat and protein. A lot of the times I just don't bother eating. I don't have a lunch at work. I don't have a breakfast in the morning. I eat one meal a day, which is usually supper. I said, and sometimes I don't even bother. I just skip for a day and then eat a meal every other day. I'm like, my body has enough fat on it to fuel itself, so I don't need food. And he's like, so you're doing what, 48-hour fasts? I'm like, 48, 72s, 24s, whatever. I'm like, it doesn't matter. I'm like, I'm just not constantly eating. And that's the thing, is he's trying to, I'm not saying it's wrong, because in the end, the way it works, you could do one meal a day, but let's say in a day you burn 3,000 calories and that one meal you have is 3,100 calories, you're gonna slowly start putting on weight. Just like, let's say you burn 3,000 calories in a day and you eat 3 meals and they only tally up to 2,000 calories, well, that's a 1,000 calorie deficit you're in, you're gonna start losing weight. The law of thermogenics will always apply no matter what your fasting schedule is. Problem is I'm gonna be 46 in a month, he's gonna be, well, he just turned 44. We're old. Our metabolism is not what it was when we were 20. Mind you, when we were 20, I was still pretty chubby because I ate like garbage. No, actually, I was pretty lean back then because I was going to the gym with my buddy Joe and I was eating a lot of lean meats and I was on a 2,100 calorie a day diet. I was actually pretty lean back then. It was after I got with my first girlfriend, bought this house, moved in here, that I started packing on the weight heavy because we were eating out at Mexicali Roses every freaking night, or Boston Pizza. Anybody who's been with the vlog vlogs probably remembers those videos of, let's go to Boston Pizza, let's go to Mexicali Roses, let's go to, I don't even know where else we went, probably Swiss Chalet. We would always eat out. We would never cook and eat at home. You do that enough, a meal at Mexicali Roses was easily 1,300 calories. You get the rice, you get the beans, you get that massive friggin' burrito. And on top of that, for breakfast, I used to wake up and have bacon and eggs. And then lunch, I would just go to the corner store and buy whatever. Sometimes it was like a bag of chips. I would come back with a bag of Ruffles and just destroy that. And like I said about a bag of chips, they're about 1,400 to 1,700 calories in a bag. Doesn't feel like that much energy, but that's because they're light and fluffy, but they're dense in calories, but low dense in substance. No bueno, you know? And then he's like, well, because he saw in November when I went to the camp, you know, I was getting into the beers and I was getting into the mead and I was drinking a lot, and he's like, are you still drinking? And I'm like, no, man, I quit all that. I'm like, I said, the last time I got loaded was on New Year's, and to be fair, I'm like, I probably won't get loaded now, probably not until I hit my goal. And I said, and even then, I might not, because it's not like I crave beer. Like, it's funny how alcohol is not an addictive substance, but it is. You know, some people, they look forward to the weekend just to drink. And I was one of those individuals back in the day. Holy crap, I used to love Saturday and Sunday. Get up early Saturday morning, do my chores, mow the lawn, get out there, do my shopping, get some steaks and stuff, barbecue, and get a 18 pack of Pilsners, and come home and then grab 3 beer, go out to the barbecue, start cooking up my steak, start drinking then, and then at night end up being upstairs playing video games with the boys, playing Grand Theft Auto or something, just right torched. And then Sunday, it was like, Sunday was a write-off because I needed to recover, and then Monday back to work, and that was like my typical weekend. Or, you know, Adrian would come over. Sorry, I'm just cleaning my counter off here. I got a lot of crap. Kind of pissed off. It was recycling this week and I forgot to check my app. We have an app on our phones that tell us that. Forgot to put the recycling out. So anyway, Adrian would come over, we'd do a live show and get drunk, and then at the end his ex-girlfriend would show up, pick him up and bring him home. And you know, that was the weekends. Like, I never drank during the week, not until I got the job at the call center where I was working for, like, I think I was working for Virgin Mobile as well as later on Canada Post, and that job depressed me. So the only thing that made me happy was a box of beer every day. And I was literally drinking 12 bottle beers every freaking day. Then I got a job back working in IT. Things were better. I was happier. Wasn't drinking as much. I was still drinking on the weekends because we would go to Partners Billiards, go do karaoke. Josh would pick me and my buddy up, so we didn't have to drive, so we drank. And it wasn't like, it was the March after, actually I think it was, see, my buddy Jean, his birthday is one day before mine. He's March 14th, I'm March 15th. So whenever we get together and it's both of our birthdays, we used to go pitcher for pitcher. He'd buy a pitcher, I'd buy a pitcher. He'd buy a pitcher, I'd buy a pitcher. And I'm pretty sure that's what it was. But I think we did it a weekend after, because I know it was at the end of March in 2018. We got so drunk Friday night, because I think we went through like 6 pitchers of beer, and a pitcher of beer will hold 6 glasses of beer, like 6 of their mugs of beer. And we went through like 6 pitchers. We were both wrecked. Saturday I woke up, I had the worst headache. My body was shot. I was sore. I felt like crap. I wanted to shut down so hard. I ended up sleeping that day away. Same with Sunday. Slept that day away. Monday, still feeling like garbage. Went into work, but it was rough. I felt like complete and utter crap. So that's when I decided, you know what? Why am I spending all this money? Because like a pitcher of beer at the time was about $15. I bought 3, he bought 3. That's $45 spent. Doesn't sound like a lot of money, but back then, because I was penny pinching, it was a lot of money. I questioned, why was I spending all this money just so I could waste my weekend sleeping, pumping Tylenol into my brain to try and make the pain go away, and I quit drinking. But from time to time, I don't mind having some drinks. Like, you got to think about it, right? Our lives are short. Enjoy things in moderation. Don't overindulge. That's the problem. People overindulge, it's a bad time, you know? Oh yeah, and don't do illicit drugs, because they're not good for you. But like, I mean, like beer, having a donut, enjoying the luxuries of life, but don't overindulge. Like, and that's what kind of sort of got me back up in weight was, and I keep saying it, after Oreo passed in June, after I had to put him down and go through that experience, I fell into a pit of depression. I wasn't me. So, you know, I tried chasing the past, if you will. I was like shopping for mini bikes and stuff, like stuff that made me happy in the past. You know, going down and visiting Bloke, something I couldn't do before because with the dog I had nobody to watch him. And I was like, oh, maybe this will be kind of like the past, but it wasn't, because now it's completely different, because Bloke is on the same wavelength as me, as the trying to live a healthier life, to prolong your life so you can enjoy more of the luxuries. It's good, don't get me wrong. I love going down there. I love our fishing trips and our banter when we're fishing. Oh my God. If I could capture some of the audio of him and I just shit talking each other, it'd be so good. I got to put a mic on the guy, because man, he will let some zingers out that are freaking hilarious. And then I'll let some zingers out, and then we're just zinging back and forth at each other. I'm telling you guys, it is freaking hilarious. Only problem is Bloke doesn't have a swear filter and YouTube does. Like, he has no problems just unloading curse words, and too many of those, and YouTube, like, well, they didn't monetize the video like I give a care about that, because like the average video I put up doesn't get that many views, and when it does, it doesn't really make that much money. I think that somebody asked me, could you pay a bill with what you make in a month on YouTube? Yeah, I could probably afford a subscription to a magazine with it. Like, it's not much. I don't make much on YouTube. I used to back in the day before Adpocalypse. I was actually turning a good profit, where literally, yeah, that's the reason why I was going on eBay and buying all those cameras, to try and find one that was really good, and people really liked me doing the versus, like the Kodaks versus the Flips, and the Panasonics versus this, and the Sanyos versus that. That's why I kind of went on a bender, buying a bunch of cameras and stuff, is because the money was good. Adpocalypse hit, everything changed, YouTube changed, the terms of service changed, and the revenue coming in is not the greatest. But if it was about the money, the moment the revenue took a shit, I would have done the same. I would have been like, well, why bother making videos anymore? I'm just gonna quit, you know? And I did take a bit of a pause when I was with my previous ex, because I just didn't have time to film, because it was just, I was always over there doing stuff for her or hanging out with her, or I just couldn't pick up a camera. So I was trying to come up with ideas on what to do to try and get videos out for you guys. And it was rough. It was rough. So, but yeah, I fell into a pit of depression, and because I could afford it, let me tell you, the donuts did not stay on the shelves. Doritos were being consumed. Calories were being taken in. And my living room gym was not being used. I didn't want to work out for a long time, because like I mentioned, it reminded me too much of Potato Face. And finally I got over that. I realized I gotta get back into it. Like, this is the new way. Smarten up and get into it, right? Get back into it. So I did. So for the past 2 weeks, I've been working out. I've only been doing 5 days a week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. On the weekends, I try to just do steps. Like for today, I haven't really done too much. I've only done 5,500 steps so far, and it's already 3. Normally on workout days, I'll have about 8,000 by noon, because at the office with this new project, I'm walking around freaking everywhere, climbing stairs, all the freaking time, because after you finish a machine, you label it, bring it to the mailroom. Finish a machine, label it, bring it to the mailroom. Finish a machine, label it, bring it to the mailroom, right? And the mailroom is 3 floors down, and the elevators are slow as frig, and they're rickety, and I've already been stuck in an elevator at the old office, or my previous office that I'll be going back to once this project's over. And let me tell you, being stuck in an elevator sucks, because especially when it's stuck between 2 floors and the elevator guy shows up and says, all right, I need you to do this thing where you're gonna climb up and out. And it's like, yeah, I've seen that movie. It doesn't end well for me. I don't think I wanna do that. But I did, and it was not pleasant. So I'm pretty sure I put that video up, stuck in an elevator, a long time ago, like 2018, 2017, 2018, somewhere around there I put that video up. And I was in the elevator. I got there at 11:30, got stuck in the elevator, and the elevator guy never showed up until about 12:30. So I was like in there for an hour with no ventilation. Like there was air coming into the friggin' thing, but there was no vents for fresh air. So it was like, it was getting pretty gross in there pretty quick. It was hot, but yeah, you know, and like right now, this world we live in is in such a crazy debacle going on. Like, holy, I didn't expect. At first I was like, you know, with the whole American elections, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, well, I don't want Kamala to win because holy crap, she's just a female version of Trudeau who can't give you a straight answer to any question you ask her. Like you ask her something simple and she just goes off on a tangent about nonsense and bullshit, and you're like, what the frig are you even saying? Do you listen to yourself? Come on. Trump would be blunt and straight to the point and say what he was gonna do, and to me that was like, okay, at least he has a battle plan. But now that he's in power, he's going off the rails, like threatening to take over the Gaza Strip with force and turning it into a holiday resort. What the shit? What's going on there? You know, putting all these tariffs on every freaking country out there, like making enemies of the world. Yeah, I get it. The US has a massive military, but do those soldiers really want to be sent into battle over something so dumb like a guy's ego? Probably not. Will they do it? For sure, because that's what they signed up for. But it's like, it's kind of crazy. Like he's off his rocker. He needs to take a step back and realize, like, and not to mention up here in Canada, our friggin' government's still pro-rogue. So we don't even have a parliament in session. We just have Trudeau running the country until his replacement's elected in March. And literally, the three that we have running for that position are just Trudeau's. It's like replacing Trudeau with another liberal is like shitting your pants so you change your shirt. Like, it doesn't make sense. All three of them were on his freaking group, were part of his committee, and all have the exact same things. They all wanted the carbon tax, especially carbon tax Carney. He was like, we're not paying enough into it. We need more. So he wants to jack that up even higher, which is going to drive pretty much all of our industry into the US. Like they're all just going to pack up and jump the border. Unless, I guess, if they secure the border good enough, it might be a little bit harder. But they're all going to jump down south and open up business down there. They won't stick around Canada. Are you kidding me? They won't be able to afford to run a business up here. You got Trump down there offering like tax rebates and all this shit on plants that are going to be opening up and stuff. It's just such an inviting way to get industry to move from one country to another, especially when you have a government in your country that is making operating costs near impossible for a tax that is completely freaking fictional. There's no reason to have a carbon tax. If you do the math on how much carbon Canada puts out versus how many trees we have that absorb that carbon and convert it back into oxygen, we're in a freaking deficit. We don't have a carbon footprint up here. We're in a deficit with the amount of trees that we have that just soak up that carbon and convert it back to oxygen. We're not the problem. The USA is not the problem. I don't know about Mexico, never looked them up, but the main consumer or main producers of carbon dioxide is our boys over in the East, like Asia and India, because they just don't care, right? They don't have the money to care, so who cares? Just pollute, get the job done, make that money. That's all they care about. All I know is they got to stop that prorogue on the parliament, get parliament back in session, because just having one clown run the operation and call the shots, especially in some of these recent Trudeau friggin' interviews, I swear he's gone cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs, like worse than normal. Some of the stuff he said, I'm just like, holy crap, bud, are you even listening to yourself right now? Because Jesus, Murphy, you sound like you're off your crazy pills, and you sound like you need to go in a padded room with a friggin' hug me jacket, because Jesus, who says that during an interview? Like, literally, well guys, you know, seeing how I won't be your premier for much longer, I guess I get to pick and choose what I want to do and blah blah blah, and he just goes off, and it's just like letting people know that he just doesn't care anymore and stuff. And it's like, bro, you can't. And even when they're all threatening to put tariffs on the US, like, why US tariffs Canada? How does that affect us? Okay, so US needs rare minerals that we have, especially with this push on these new zinc batteries. Does the US have zinc? I don't know. I don't know their mining locations. I don't know what they have for resources. If they don't, they're going to need to bring that in. Well, China put a tariff on them. I know he's trying to fight Zelensky to get rights to the rare minerals there because Ukraine has a boatload of rare minerals at their disposal, but they kind of need it to fight this battle with Russia, so they can't just give it up. So unless Trump rolls the military in there as a hostile takeover and takes over Ukraine, you know, pulls one of Russia's cards and plays it, then I don't really see how that's going to happen, which is the reason why he's doing a big push on Greenland, is because Greenland has pretty much similar natural resources to Canada as far as it goes for rare earth minerals and stuff. That's why he wants to get that from Denmark. So that's cool. I don't know. We're in crazy times right now. Everything's up in the air. And I have friends that are freaking out about it. And I got to keep reminding them, what could you do to change the course of the planet? What could you do right now to change the course? And they're like, I don't know. What do you think I could do? And I said, honestly, nothing. You can't do anything to prevent what's going on. There's nothing you can do. They're like, well, that makes me feel better. I said, well, it wasn't meant to. What it's meant to do is tell you is stop worrying. You can't fix it. You're not the person who needs to be there to fix it. The person who needs to be there to fix it, that's what they should be worrying about. How are we going to stop these tariffs on Canada? How are we going to make our economy better? Okay, so the US wants to tariff us. Why are we always relying on the US? Why don't we rely on other countries? Like, there's got to be other countries out there that want to buy our oil. There's got to be other countries out there that want to buy our resources. You know, last time I was in London, bloke took me through an area of London that's all being developed for manufacturing. Literally, plants after plants after plants. There was a Tesla plant moving in there to build the Tesla cars. That might be kibosh now, it might turn into something else, but that was going up, you know. All these different industries are coming into Canada and putting up buildings, putting up factories and all that. Why aren't we, like, Ontario used to always be known as the manufacturing province. That's how we made our money. Alberta was always the resource kings, right? The oil king. They had all the oil and that was their big income. Quebec, I don't know. I guess their income's puts in, which is probably why they're in the pits and they rely on other provinces to feed them money. But which blows my mind that they want to separate. I don't understand that, because they separate from Canada, then they're just going to be a broke joke little country called Quebec. But whatever. They want to go, they can go. You know, Alberta's threatening to leave Canada now because they're sick and tired of the policies. Everybody just needs to calm down and wait for Parliament to get back in session so that we can do a no trust vote and get a new government in there, because holy crap, like we can not agree now that we need a new government when our current one is falling apart at the seams. Like, come on. It was just not a good time for the government to prorogue, knowing that Trump was coming into power and not knowing how he was going to be. I wasn't expecting him to be the way he is. And what really bothered me was when he said stuff like, oh, Canada's just been using us. Canada's just been using us. You know, those fires in California, Canada sent a bunch of their emergency water bombers to start dropping water on the fires to help contain it. We didn't have to. We super didn't have to, but we're the country that likes to help. You know, you need a hand, we're there, bud. We're gonna help. We sent water bombers down. We helped with the fires, trying to get them under control. Of course, 2 of our bombers got landed because idiots were flying drones in the area and put them through the planes because they're idiots. But, you know, to be expected. Everybody wants that TikTok shot, right? Everybody wants fame and fortune. So they're gonna fly drones in a zone where you're not allowed to fly drones just to get that video. You know, when 9/11 happened, there was the TFSA redirected a plane heading for, I believe it was New York, redirected it to Newfoundland into a tiny little community where everybody in that community took the American passengers into their homes, fed them, kept them warm, took care of them until everything was cleared up in New York and they could land a plane there again. You know, whenever there's a crisis in our southern with the US, whenever there's something there, Canada's always willing to lend a hand. When the parks out west in Canada were on fire, did the US get involved?
Sorry, I don't understand.
She doesn't even know. I'm gonna have to go check on that, because I'm pretty sure we dealt with that problem on our own, like we always do whenever we have some sort of a catastrophe up here. We just deal with it on our own. You know, like the great power outage in 2009 when New York and Michigan overdrew from our feed and blew out our power and took Ontario and put it into the dark ages for 3 days until they could get things back up and running. I'm pretty sure that we dealt with that on our own. I'm just getting my meat out of the friggin' air fryer. But I don't really like that Trump said that, oh, $200 billion we're giving Canada to subsidize them. Well, if it's such a subsidy, why are you doing it? You know, if you stop, what would happen? Like right now, if Canada decided to cut the hard line into the US for power, would the people in Michigan, New York, and I'm not sure what other state we feed power to over there, if we cut off the power, would they be watching Super Bowl Sunday tomorrow? Would the US have time to redirect power to those states? I know they probably have a bunch of nuclear power plants kicking around. The money, the oil they buy from us, we sell to them at a discount rate. The electricity we sell to the US is surplus that we can't do anything with because we just don't need it, that we sell to the US at a discounted rate per kilowatt. So we're giving them a deal which is cheaper than what they can produce, which is what a friendly neighbor normally does. So that's what bothers me. And I know a lot of Americans that are just like, holy crap, why are you going after Canada? Like, it doesn't make sense. They've always been there for us. They've always fought alongside us in all the wars. They've always helped out. They've always just been there. Yeah, we don't have a lot of population, you know. It's been pointed out to me that the population of California is the same as the population of Canada in a whole. Kind of doesn't help that a lot of our land is really, really brutal to live on due to where it's located, you know, way up in the north where, you know, you leave your house to go to work and you might have to fight a polar bear and die to death. But there's that, you know. The US has a lot of land. They don't get the harsh winters we do. Some places get more snow than we do, but that's because they're getting that lake effect snow. But like the mid US and southern US, you can pretty much put a house in every freaking square acre of the place and somebody could live there. If Canada was the same way, yeah, we could fill the Northwest Territories with houses. We could fill each one of the provinces with houses. Even Ontario, you start getting into the north and there's communities up there that are isolated that you have to helicopter into in the summer. In the winter, you can take the ice roads, but in the summer, you have to helicopter in there because there's no way you can fly a plane in there and you can't drive in there. There's no roads going there. Like, welcome to our geographical nonsense. So that kind of contributes to the lack of population. And the other problem is we've seen what happens when you try to buff the population through immigration. When you don't have the infrastructure in place to handle the new population, it causes nothing but economical disaster, which we're facing right now. So between that nonsense and the call for tariffs and all that, like, I know they're on hold until March, as long as we reinforce our border. I guess we'll wait and see in March, which is in a couple days, if Trump decides to say, screw it, tariffs are on, game over, we're doing tariffs. And then we'll have to see what hand Canada plays. What 100% are going to be counter tariffs because, you know, that's what they're all keen on, is stupid shit like that, rather than saying, okay, fine, instead of doing a counter tariff and hurting the people of Canada who are already friggin' having a hard enough time to pay for things. Instead of doing that, they could just be like, fine then, we'll stop trading oil with you and trade it with Japan or trade it with China or trade it with the UK. Or I know basically in order to do that, they're gonna have to run the pipeline to get it out of Alberta and to one of the coastal cities like BC or get it out to New Brunswick. We'll have to pipe it out there. But I'm also wondering if this is the reason why they're not mining in the US, is the same reason why we're not putting up a pipeline in Canada, is due to environmental restrictions. You know, fracking for natural gas in certain locations may cause some serious instabilities in the environment for those communities, and that's what they're trying to avoid. But if Trump is willing to try and take over Gaza and turn it into the next friggin' resort, he could just be crazy enough to say, screw the environment, frack away, and put millions of Americans in potential risk of losing their house due to it becoming an environmental issue where they can't live there because they'll die if they breathe the air or whatever. I don't know. Any hoozle, that's my rant for today. I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens in March. Currently, it's only the 8th of February, So still plenty of time for our government. I think they've already reinforced the border. They've sent a whole bunch of troops down there and a bunch of equipment. And the worst part is they already had this in the budget to do it. They just held off because, well, we have a liberal government. So to get them to do something, you usually have to like push them around a bit. Yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed. If you did, like button. Questions, comments, concerns, down below they go. Until next time, live it to win it. Peace the frig out. Sit, stupid, sit. Good dog.